Caregiving can sometimes feel like an impossible struggle. Caregivers may be torn between taking care of loved ones and trying to maintain balance in life. The good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. The Caring Generation with host Pamela D Wilson is here to focus on the conversation of caring. You're not alone. In fact, you're in exactly the right place to share stories and learn tips and resources to help you and your loved ones. So now, please welcome the host of The Caring Generation, Pamela D Wilson.
This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert, speaker, consultant, and guardian of the Caring Generation. The Caring Generation focuses on the conversation of caring, giving us permission to talk about aging, the challenges of caregiving, and everything in between. It's no surprise that needing care or becoming a caregiver changes everything. The Caring Generation is here to guide you along the journey, to let you know that you're not alone. You are in exactly the right place to share stories and learn about caregiving programs and resources to help you and your loved ones plan for what's ahead. Invite your aging parents, spouses, family, friends, coworkers, and everyone you know to listen to the show. If you have a question or an idea for a future program, share your idea with me by responding to my social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. This week, the conversation is caregiving and the power of words. Do you ever notice how words, your thoughts or statements, and interactions with others make you feel? Caregivers tell me that their lives feel out of control. Staying on this topic, let's stretch our minds a little to link words and thoughts with neuropsychology, which is the study of the relationship between behaviors, emotion, and cognition, which is known as brain function. Then we're going to link it to quantum physics and consciousness and other terms that some people call woo-woo. The words we say to ourselves and the thoughts we think each day greatly affect the type of day we have, good or bad. Think about this in the context or relationship of receiving a compliment, which makes you feel really good. A compliment can brighten a day. On the other hand, think of a time when you were on the end of receiving criticism that might not have made you feel good. Your day may have gone downhill or sideways, depending on the source and the intention of the criticism. Words have a vibrational energy, as does the sound of a voice. You can speak in a soft voice or a whisper, and the tone your voice gives off can be very comforting and reassuring. On the other hand, if the words you say in a soft voice or a whisper are mean, angry, or critical, or demeaning, even if you whisper the words, they probably will be received as threatening. Think of this. I hate you so much. You make me so angry I could just scream. That probably doesn't make you feel any good. So when you think about a whisper or a soft voice being a vehicle or a method to transfer words, it really is the words being said that create the effect and the emotion and reaction and response from another person. So during this program, we will link words and feelings. Then we'll talk about intentions, which are really commitments to ourselves about how we act. Being mindful of words and intentions can help manage the results or the outcomes of our daily lives. So instead of allowing the words and actions of others to take us off track or guide us emotionally, we're the ones who retain power over our feelings and our emotions and our intentions. And then finally, by understanding caregiving and the power of words, you can improve relationships with others in all areas of your life. I'd like to start discussions about the power of words by talking about Lourdes, France. It's a location famous for its healing waters and its miracles. Now, to date, there have been 70 confirmed miracles at Lourdes since the first apparition or ghost appeared to a 14-year-old peasant girl, Saint Bernadette, in 1858. Amazingly so. 6 million people visit Lourdes, France every year, hoping for a health cure through this water. So why does this even matter? Why is it relevant to our discussion about caregiving and the power of words and intentions? Well, the relevance is water. The human body is composed of 55 to 60% water, which is why drinking water is so important to staying healthy. This thought takes us down a trail of science. A man named Masaru Emoto, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, he was a Japanese author, a businessman, and a pseudoscientist who believed that human thought and words can affect the molecular structure of water. Now you might think, how on earth could this be possible? Water's not a person. Water doesn't have emotions. It just can't work, right? It's crazy. Well, Masaru placed drops of water from different places around the world, Lourdes, France being one of the locations. And he looked for patterns in the structure of the water. Now, what does water look like, right? Well, if you've ever seen a snowflake or a picture of a snowflake or a snowflake under a microscope, then you have an idea of what water looks like, of what Masaru was seeing when he looked through his microscope at little drops of water. Similar to the example I gave earlier of a soft voice or a whisper being a delivery vehicle for supportive words or critical words and the end effect. Masaru's experiments on water were similar. He collected water, again, from all over the world. Tap water, water from lakes, water from streams. Looked at them all under a microscope. He placed the water samples in jars, and he wrote words on the jars like love, joy, happiness, hate, sickness, illness. He played music to the water. And what do you think he found? While looking at the water crystals under a microscope, the crystals associated, the water associated with the words love and joy and happiness were symmetrical, and they appeared in beautifully amazing patterns. Just the opposite. The crystals associated with hate and sickness and illness appeared crooked and disjointed and non-symmetrical, and the colors were not pretty. And so he came up with a word for this. He called it the science of Hado, H-A-D-O. And it's the idea that thoughts and feelings affect physical reality and health for our bodies, for water, for pets, for plants, for everything. If you're curious about Masaru's research, you can check it out by searching for videos with his name, Masaru Emoto, on YouTube. I'll also put links into the show transcript. He also published some books called The Hidden Messages in Water, Love Thyself, and The Secret Life of Water. So whether or not water reacts to positive and negative feelings, I really don't know. I know he researched it. What I do know is that if one believes something is true, then for that person alone, it's true. It's what you believe in your mind. Now, hope makes people go beyond normal actions to do the impossible, right? So, is it crazy to believe that if words affect water, the way that we talk to ourselves can affect our body and our minds, which are composed of a great deal of water? Is it practical to believe that caregiving and the power of words can affect the relationship you have with the person for whom you care and other people? So many people begin the day with positive affirmations, but Even with affirmations that make us feel good, there must be tied to a sense of taking action and passionate about something and reality. Because life doesn't change unless we change what we're doing or the effort or the work that we put toward a goal or something that we want to accomplish. And then, of course, there are skills, right? Skills that are required to do some things. And here's a simple story, right? I learned to play the piano as a child. Now, I enjoyed music, but playing the piano wasn't really something that I excelled at. And so, if we're not good at something, we tend not to like to do it. So I gave it up. And, I look back and say, I think, I should pick up the piano, but, I'm probably never going to be very good unless I return to it and dedicate a lot of time and effort. Now, even to this day, I love listening to piano music because it calms my mind and brings peace into my heart and my spirit, but I'm never going to be a concert pianist. On the other hand, a child who learns the piano at a young age, who loves music more than anything and who's passionate about it and practices every day, may end up being a concert pianist or a musician. People are born with certain talents and qualities and skills to do one thing or another, like being a caregiver. But much of being a caregiver, as we know, is challenging. It's about responding to health problems, the health issues of the caregiver, the health issues of family members, dealing with doctors and health insurance companies, and things that are so frustrating. The stress of caregiving takes a negative toll on many aspects of a caregiver's life, including the way they think, the mental attitudes, the emotions. The American Psychological Association published a study, and it's called Stress in America. If you want to read about it, I'll put the link again in this show transcript, that confirmed around 3/4 or about 76% of adults said that they experienced impacts to their health, so negative impacts to their health, as a result of stress in the last 30 days. The effects on health were things like headache at 38%, fatigue or being tired, 35%, feeling nervous or anxious, 34%, and feeling depressed or sad, 33%. Other health impacts included feeling overwhelmed, changes in sleep habits, constant worry. Some caregivers confirmed using alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs to try and relax or take their mind off their problems. The bottom line is a majority of adults confirm that health and health care is a huge source of stress in their lives. Health can be defined in many different ways, like worrying about a health concern, worrying about a condition or a treatment, being without health insurance, or having health insurance and you're not sure that you can continue to pay the monthly premiums, struggling to pay for prescriptions and medications, having young children who are continually sick, or aging parents who are in poor health and declining. It seems that on the topic of healthcare, there's plenty to make one anxious or worried. Caregiving and the power of words come into play here too. Worry causes health concerns. I'm not telling you not to worry. One suggestion I do have, though, is to bring as much reality into the worry as possible so that you're not making events seem worse than they are, or what's called catastrophizing. So, catastrophizing, right? That's a word for caregiving and the power of words discussion, right? Catastrophizing happens when we believe the worst thing will happen, or we exaggerate how bad situations are. A simple example of this: you're worried about missing the bus to get to work, even though every day you're at that bus stop 15 minutes before the bus is scheduled to show up. Missing the bus, will result in you being late for work. And so you think, well, gosh, if I'm late, I'm going to get fired. And if I get fired, I can't pay the rent, which means I'm going to be evicted from my home or my apartment. And then you're worrying about being financially able to support your mom and dad or your family or your kids. Now, it's true, all of this could happen if you miss the bus. But let's turn it around. Let's imagine that you miss the bus and you arrive late at work, but you explain the issue to your boss and He says, oh, that's okay. I get it. Now, it's unlikely that you'd be fired if you're normally on time for work and you do a good job. Research confirms that people who are more likely to catastrophize can suffer from chronic pain, depression, anxiety, or are more exhausted. It's true. Caregivers are frequently exhausted, and many suffer from other health conditions. So when you notice your emotions skyrocketing or your mood taking a deep dive into the darker realms, caregiving and the power of words you say and think to yourself can help reduce stressful situations. So take a few deep breaths. Talk to yourself softly, using loving and kind and positive and reassuring words to calm your moods. That's the path forward. So we're going to take a quick break. I want to remind you, caregiving does not have to be a do-it-yourself job. My website, PamelaDWilson.com, offers help, hope, support, and education for caregivers and aging adults. On there, you'll find online courses, articles, and more, plus this podcast, The Caring Generation, which answers questions caregivers ask. There are over 150 episodes. This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert and advocate on The Caring Generation. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiver expert, advocate, and author on The Caring Generation. Check out my website, PamelaDWilson.com, where you will find my online caregiver course, my book, The Caregiving Trap, caregiver blog, this podcast, and hundreds of articles in my caregiver library. There's something for everyone on my website, PamelaDWilson.com. So, caregivers, do you notice that when you become upset or distracted, no matter what it was that you planned to do, can get sidetracked? This happens to me on occasion. Many of you know I keep a very strict workout schedule exactly for this reason. My brain needs time every single day to process what's happening and to keep me in a positive mood. Now, there may be a day that something happens and my brain says, oh, Pamela, it's okay. Skip your workout. Take time to solve this problem. You really don't feel like going to the gym anyway, do you? Now, I know at that moment that my brain goes sideways. And I start talking to myself like that it is time to force myself out the door. My focus time at the gym while I work out is caregiving for myself. And I focus on the power of words. That's the time where I retrain my brain to think positive and loving thoughts and to move away from whatever frustrations or whatever anxiety or worry that I might have been feeling before I went to the gym. Now, honestly, this takes effort. Doesn't always come easily, but most of the time, when I leave the gym, I'm in a better mood and I can refocus my thoughts on whatever it is I wanted to do next. This is something that anybody can do if you schedule some me time every day, preferably at the same time. Don't let your brain make up excuses or reasons for why you can't devote time to your needs. Because believe me, it will try. It will give you every single excuse in the world. You have to be stronger than that voice inside of your head that says, you know what? It's okay not to give yourself me time. I want you to worry more, be more unhappy, be more miserable. Continue to focus on all those problems that are making you absolutely crazy. Caregiving and the power of words, especially related to self-care, is critical for maintaining your well-being, your sanity, and your self-esteem, not to mention your health. So let's look at high-stress situations. Maybe you're a caregiver who's taken an elderly parent to the emergency room. If so, you may have experienced the difference between a nurse or a doctor who reassured you and helped you feel calm or confident versus a staff member, maybe it was that person at the check-in desk, who might not have been so pleasant. They were rushed. So in high-stakes situation like an emergency room visit, it's easy to pick up on and mimic or mirror the emotions of other people who may be upset. So if so, knowing what you know now about caregiving and the power of words, you have an opportunity to redirect or calm down chaotic situations. High-stress situations also happen in the home. Let's say that you care for an aging parent who all of a sudden has an emotional meltdown. Your normal reaction may be one of exasperation or frustration, like, oh gosh, I can't believe this is happening again. It drives me crazy. But instead of saying that, you pause for a moment to compose yourself. And you think about caregiving and the power of words. Instead of reacting like you may have previously, you stay calm and in a soft voice you say, gosh, Mom or Dad, I'm so sorry you're upset. Tell me what's going on so I can help. By responding differently, you interrupt the emotional pattern of your mom or dad, and you change the scenario to a discussion instead of something that could result in a yelling match or a battle of wills or an ongoing disagreement. As caregivers of parents or students or husbands or wives or whatever our role in life, we are always consistently doing, so we never take a break to consider the power of caregiving and the power of words, which is going to link to intentions, which we are going to talk about now. A lot of people are like, well, Pamela, what's an intention? So a question for you. How many of you say thank you or a prayer before a meal, or maybe you pray when you get up in the morning or pray when you go to bed? And if you don't, that's okay. There's no judgment here. I just want to give an example. Saying thank you or reciting a prayer is something that slows down the mind for a moment to put things into perspective. Expressing gratitude for something is a way to remain positive about life. So what if when you put the key into the ignition of your car and you turn the key and your car starts, you just say, wow, car, thank you. Thank you for starting and getting me to work today. So whether you pray, whether you say thank you, you could also recite a poem or say something. This time, the idea of this time is creating a momentary pause to think about caregiving and the power of words instead of immediately reacting. So you say thank you or recite a short statement or a poem or a prayer so that your mind has time to refocus before any words come out of your mouth. So let's take another leap forward. We're going to stretch the mind again. How many of you have heard of haiku? It is a form of Japanese poetry that happens in 3 lines, intended to be read in a single breath. And it's a great interrupter because it is quick. It's like that. So let me share a couple of examples. Softly falls the light of autumn's mellowing sun across fields and hills. That's by Julie Edmonds. Another. Old sailors still dream, mermaid beauty unseen, seashells lay on the shore. That one's by Donna Jones. Haiku gives you something to think about for caregiving and the power of words if you're not someone who prays or feels comfortable giving thanks. The idea is it changes an image in your mind. It changes the thoughts in your heads so that caregiving and the power of words becomes something routine. Let's bring intentions into this. Intentions are really something that you do for yourself, although a lot of times intentions can be easily misinterpreted by other people. So what are intentions? Examples are, today I'm going to be kind to myself and others. I will be open to new experiences. I'm going to give up control of the way that I might want to do something and let myself do something in the manner another person would do it. I'm going to accept other people the way they are, for the way they are, without wanting to judge or change them. I'll have an attitude of gratitude today. I'll take care of my body. I'm going to be positive in every single interaction I have with another human being or with animals. So intention, while it seems simple, again, can require some thought by saying the right words and in effort. So just when you think about it, the simple intention of being positive in all interactions, it can take a lot of effort. If you tend to lean toward the negative or the critical or the judgmental, because every time now that you come in contact with somebody else, you have to be positive. You have to say something positive. You have to think something positive. You have to compliment them. You have to say thank you. So what I will say is that when you decide, when you make the choice to become intentional, and you focus on your words, the words you speak will be more thoughtful, and other people will notice a shift in your attitude and your vibration. The reality is that people want to interact with, work with, do business with, be with people, hang out with people who make them happy and who are positive, and they want to hang out with people they like. Now, caregiving and the power of words and intentions and all of this doesn't mean that you're trying to be somebody that you're not. What you're trying to do is to be a little more kind and patient and understanding. Everything that you want other people to give back to you. I once heard somebody say, well, how do I receive respect? I don't get any respect from anybody. Well, the answer is you have to give respect to receive respect. You have to give kindness to receive kindness. Caregiving relationships, they're give and take. And eventually, unfortunately, the person who needs care can give less, and they take more, and more stress is placed on the caregiver to do more and be more over and over again, every day, day in, day out, 365 days of the year after year. This is why making time for yourself every day is critical. Otherwise, the words you speak may not mirror your intentions. And you might feel that you're failing on all ends, and every single effort you're doing, things just keep going wrong. You're failing. Now, I know caregivers who wonder if they can keep going because they are so exhausted. It's difficult. It's also difficult to be present and think about your words and your intentions. This slowing down however you choose to do it, like saying a haiku poem. Gentle breezes blow, colored hues of red and gold cloak the earth. That's by Mary Serenic. That can give you the pause that you need to take a moment and to regain composure. So when you think of caregiving in words and intentions, haiku poems, prayers, thanks, and the vibrations of music, the combination of these things is like playing a game with your mind and your mood and your emotions. You're taking control. There's a piano song that I listen to, and it's called Finding Hope by Michael Logazar. You can look that one up. Every time I hear this song, it brings beautiful visions into my mind. It's almost like, for me, hearing the angels sing and tell me that everything is going to be all right when I'm in one of those moods where I'm frustrated and I need a little hope and joy and reassurance. As caregivers, intentionally creating these little moments during the day and in our lives is so important. I know many of you are saying, Pamela, I don't have time to think, sleep, or take a break. I can't possibly slow down to think about my words, take a pause, or be intentional. Wisdom and research confirms that if caregivers don't make time to take care of yourself, something eventually, like a health problem, is going to show up that will give you no choice but to care for yourself. So you can be in the driver's seat. Before that event happens, start owning your choices and thinking about caregiving and the power of words. Nobody has to give you permission to set boundaries about what you can or cannot do. Hopefully, the things you want to do are positive, like eliminating fears from your life that you're not good enough, or that life or caregiving will always be difficult or sad. Becoming a caregiver, it's probably one of the most difficult things we choose to do or feel that we have to do because we have no choice in life. Caregiving can make us feel powerless when everything else and everyone else in life seems to be more of a priority versus our needs. This is where being kind to yourself, caregiving, and the power of words can help you recognize everything that you do for other people. Caregiving stress, it takes a toll on health and family. Dealing with the care of elderly parents or a spouse can mean there's very little time for maintaining friendships or socializing. So, caregivers grow distant from their friends because there's no time for anything else. People not in caregiving roles trade parts of their lives. Those who pursue careers may never marry or have children. Others who have children may give up their careers to raise their children. It seems like there's always trade-offs that come up in life, and then when that thing that we traded is finished, like children moving out of the home or retiring or an aging parent or a spouse passing away, when that happens, then all of a sudden we have to recreate our lives. We have to find things and people that inspire us, and we have to start living again. You're not alone in this. No one is alone in this. It happens to everybody now and then. So the question really is, how can we maintain some small parts of our lives, our friendships, the things we love, our positive attitudes, through the process of caregiving for other people? I know many caregivers who say, I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel like I've lost myself. Well, it's time. It's time to rediscover that part of you by focusing on caregiving and words and intentions and pauses, creating pauses to shift all of your relationships into positive mode. It's time to create intentions that bring more light and love into your life. For by doing so, you can bring new people into your life. Pause throughout the day. Give thanks, say a prayer, recite a poem, listen to music, even if only for 1 or 2 minutes. These small breaks and pauses may be exactly what you need to start thinking differently and more positively about whatever situation you find yourself in. Thoughts are things. Words are things that can shift our mindset and the relationships we have with other people. Please don't ever give up on finding ways to improve your caregiving situation. If you feel run down or hopeless, or even if you feel you can't, continue being the caregiver. Hope always exists, but not without changing actions or the way that we intentionally work through situations or the way that we choose to interact with others. Change comes from within. And there's no one or no thing that's going to sweep down from the heavens to wave a magic wand to change our lives. There's joy and sadness out there every day. We have to make the change. I hope that by thinking about some of the things that we discussed during this program, caregiving and the power of words, setting intentions, creating pauses, that you begin to live a life that you love with people that you love, and that you're happy and joyful and intentional. Thank you all for continuing to pose questions for this podcast and the videos I share on my YouTube channel. This is Pamela D Wilson, family caregiving expert on the caring generation. As always, if you are looking for answers to caregiving aging questions, visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com, where you will find my caregiving library, online caregiver courses, my book, plus an extensive step-by-step program that helps you learn the A to Z of caring for elderly parents. Thank you for being here. I look forward to being with you all again soon. God bless you all, sending love to everyone. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow, and enjoy each day until we are here together again.
Tune in each week for The Caring Generation with host Pamela D. Wilson. Come join the conversation and see how Pamela can provide solutions and peace of mind for everyone. Here on Pamela D. Wilson's The Caring Generation.